So what does that mean for Occupy Wall Street? Well, it means that nothing is safe from automation. No job is not going to be touched by this. And one of the features of this kind of development is that it concentrates wealth in the hands of a few people. If you invent this technology and you can use it for a couple of years, then you have an enormous leg up on your competition who's using meat-based labor. Um, and you can amass a lot of money in a short period of time, but it leaves people in this state of structural unemployment at this point because we're capable of developing the technology faster than we can train human beings to do it. So this really poses a question to our civilization. We have more wealth than we've ever had. We have more capabilities than we've ever had by an exponential margin. And there are still people who can't get health care. There are tens of millions of people in America alone, and that's you know an industrialized society. Um,
And so it's interesting because automata, programs and machines, like you can own them, and and software and even things that are like odd, like user interface elements, you can like own, have a patent on it, these kinds of things. And this is really intriguing because I mean I do like before in I guess one difference between like say the Industrial Revolution and now is in the Industrial Revolution let's say you own a bunch of machines for manufacturing clothespins. But you still need like people to run the machines to make the clothespins, and so a lot of like the peasantry and the landless will like come to the city for the promise of a better life to run the machines, and you need them to run the machines to generate the wealth. But you're still the capitalist. You still have control over the machines, but the people are required to run them. And so, but of course, if that isn't true and you don't need the people, then what happens? And that's the general source of this. Like, I think one thing that we're both arguing is like one source of this like disparity between like wealthy and everybody else, the 99% that we hear about, is actually a feature of this automation. It's a feature of like so what's the deal with these Occupy Wall Street people? Well, a lot of them are educated. A lot of them were brought up in this system that was developed in 19th century Europe and even prior to that. That's based on and then exported to the United States and then made even more extensive to the GI Bill and so on. And at that point in history and social and economic development, like the promises of the educational system kind of made sense. There were many fewer people than there are now, and there were more jobs for them. And of course now, my sense is the kind of educational system, for example, is kind of stuck in it's sort of a machine that produces. Well, what does it produce? I mean, it produces educated people by definition, although that may be circular. But as far as what education is, but it also is a machine that produces things for a need that may not exist, and also it's like tied to like certain promises about like the upward mobility of society that may not be true, like the jobs that you might expect to get as a college graduate, like maybe they don't exist actually here anymore. Maybe like they've been outsourced, maybe they're offshore, maybe they're automated. And if you can even do something like go to a good law school, and then have an issue of like how do I find a job? Like this is and part of the answer is like, well, a lot of the entry level jobs have been taken over by automation. Then this is a serious thing. And of course, I guess I could extend that critique of like the promises versus the delivery of the educational system and the kind of Malthusian machine that it's like fated to be, and how that isn't going to work, and we need a new definition. But that's like a whole other conversation. So